This is the Orioles POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Baltimore Orioles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome on this Friday night to the Baltimore Orioles POSTCAST. We're here on the Locked On Podcast Network, streaming live on YouTube. And tonight, we celebrate a 2-0 win over the Los Angeles Angels. Good evening. We're approaching midnight. O's After Dark territory. My name is Luke Slaybaugh. As always, I am the host for these post-game shows, henceforth known as the POSTCASTs on the Locked On Podcast Network. Before we continue, I want to say thank you for joining me up here late live on YouTube and on demand after the fact. You can watch the replay on YouTube. You can also listen anywhere you get your podcasts on demand. So thank you so much. Before we continue any further celebrating this 2-0 win, go ahead, leave a comment. Let me know where you're commenting from and who your player of the game is. We will do a reveal at the start of the second block of this show. 2-0 the final as the O's take the first game of 3 from the LA Angels at Camden Yards. Could not have done it in this rain-soaked affair without the services of right-hander Charlie Morton, dead set on turning things around this season after a very slow start, to say the least. The 41-year-old right-hander put pedal to the metal, and he carved up the Angels.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Killer breaking stuff, and 10 of 15 strikeouts by Orioles pitchers tonight came from the hand of Charlie Morton. The interesting thing about Chuck is he started out as a sinker-slider mix guy when he was with Philadelphia and early on in his career. And since then, he has pivoted to being a four-seam fastball, curveball type of combination guy. And yes, he carved through the LA Angels. They strike out at a pretty high clip, that is true, and this O's team has seen the Angels before, so they've got scouting. They've had a series win already under their belts before they were able to tap into this team here at Camden Yards. But for someone like Charlie Morton, this has got to be a big confidence booster and an assurance that his stuff is playing, and his sequencing was on point. 10 strikeouts tonight for Morton are the most and the second time he's hit 10 this season since his second start of the year. That game against Boston, he had 10 strikeouts at Camden Yards. And all the elements working against the O's. The game starts an hour and 7 minutes late due to rain and forecasted poor weather in the area. There was another break midway through the game in the bottom of the fifth inning. Personal opinion, probably should have just called it then, but it was manageable. And after an hour, 9-minute delay in the middle of the game, they were able to play through a nice drizzle. You never want to see anyone get hurt due to weather conditions, but the grounds crew was ready. They crushed it, and they were able to get in a full 9 innings. It was 2-0 before the break, and it was 2-0 after. But what really pains me is that we didn't get to see more of this Charlie Morton. Part of you knowing his track record this season is that it's good that he got through the lineup a couple of times and was able to be as effective as he was with his curveball. So 10 strikeouts through 5 innings. Charlie Morton, great. Maybe don't want to push the envelope if you're a more conservative Baltimore Orioles fan. But if you're someone like me, you want to see him go as long as he can. And had this game been called after 5 innings, who would have had their money on Charlie Morton being the first complete game this season by an O's pitcher? Beats me. And it started out, eyes kind of rolling in the back of your head, right? Lets the first 2 batters on in the game, a walk and a single, and Mike Trout's at the plate, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, God, not this again. He's able to freeze Trouty on a curveball. So 16 pitches into the game, Morton's got his first strikeout and first out through excellent sequencing against Trout. Then gets Jorge Soler looking on a front door curveball. Then gets Logan O'Hoppe, the foul tip on the high heater at 96 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, Charlie is shoving. Couple of highlights as well. Lamont Wade in the second. Curve inside got him swinging. Challenged Christian Moore, making his major league debut out of the University of Tennessee. Go Vols. Challenges Christian Moore with the fastball inside. It's one of the drawbacks of having this game on Apple TV. You've got a top prospect, number 56 overall per MLB Pipeline, making his debut for the Angels, their best prospect in their system right now. And all of the college baseball fanatics, the UT people up Knoxville, my former home, either have to subscribe to Apple or have to sit through 2 rain delays to see one of their favorite players from their College World Series run. Beggars, choosers, yada, yada, yada. Top 3, Charlie Morton, front door breaking ball against Zach Neto, buckles him at the knees. Nolan Schanuel twisted up on a curve so badly it hits him on the shin and he goes down swinging. So much so that MLB Game Day registered an exit velocity. The StatCast calling it 26 miles an hour off the shin. That's just disrespectful. Getting Soler to chase at a change low and inside. And the Apple broadcast did say that those 8 strikeouts through 3 innings were a career best for the 41-year-old Morton. Got some traffic again in the 4th, pitched out of some traffic. Morton did after giving up 2 singles, gets Lamont Wade to strike out on a breaking ball low, and then gets ahead of Zach Neto on a fastball top 5, gets him to strike out on a breaking ball away. 10 strikeouts for ground Chuck. And of course, this performance would be all for naught if there weren't timely run support. The O's continue to hack and whack and attack early at Jack Kahanowitz and the pitchers that they've seen the last series or so against Detroit, Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, and the guy who was able to put a charge into one and give the O's the lead for good, Ryan O'Hearn, the future All-Star, per chance.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
First pitch, bottom 2, going up against right-hander Jack Kahanowitz. Ryan O'Hearn sees a slider that doesn't slide, and that pitch sits middle. O'Hearn sits on it and pulls it into the flag court. Made it a 1-0 ball game. His 10th dinger of the year ties Cedric Mullen for the team lead. There's a lot more we got to get into in the second block. We'll talk about Ramon Laureano's home run. Wrapping up, giving our player of the game before we continue any further. If you're watching live, even if you're in your car, you can say it out loud. You can shout it to the heavens. If you're watching this on demand next day, go ahead, leave a comment. Always active after a win. Would love to hear from you where you're watching from and your thoughts on this 2-0 win over the Los Angeles Angels. Give me your player of the game. Should be obvious, but there's many choices to choose from. You got Ryan O'Hearn, had a double as well later in the game. Ramon Laureano with a solo shot that we'll talk about. The O's offensive strategy against Kahanowitz. This kind of benefited them in a rain game, no? We're going to talk about all about that right after this break. Please stick with us. Why do you think I'm up so late? Clock's about to strike midnight, Cinderella. Or Tinderella. And it's brought to you by Trade Coffee. Coffee is a ritual. It is a lifeline. It's like money. It makes the world go round. So if it's that essential, and if you're a caffeine addict like I am, why settle for anything less than amazing? It's Trade Coffee. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. If you like cold brew like I do, just blackest, earthiest, darkest cold brew imaginable, or if you like something a little bit more fancy, maybe with a little bit more hints of lavender or vanilla or whatever the girls are into these days, Trade Coffee's got it. And I took Trade's quiz. It only took a minute. And the first bag that they send you, guaranteed, it's going to be a banger. So right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off their 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. That's drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Seems like a nightly occurrence on this show. We talk about the NBA Finals. I don't host an NBA show yet. Locked On. Finals are now 2 games apiece for the Thunder and Pacers. And if you're watching tonight, how about my guy Chet Holmgren out of Gonzaga getting a double-double? Very memeable power forward, that Chet Holmgren. FanDuel says it's easy to stay in the game now more than ever, before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Yeah, there's been a hero, a different one each game, right? Halliburton, SGA/Jalen Williams, Benedict Mathurin the other night, and Chet. SGA as well had more than 30 tonight. I had my eyes on it during the rain delay. Also, that quad box during a MLB big inning that Apple just showed up there. It's like, we don't need Dontrell Willis to talk more than he already is. Just kidding. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. I'm just kidding, by the way. I really like Dontrell Willis. Him with the Marlins, not so much with the Tigers, but effective pitcher. Former Cubs Farm hand. The more you know. Dontrell Willis, there was a time where he owned the world. I think he won a Cy Young back in the day, too. That was my heyday. That was like my baseball uh, awakening, I would say. Time to reveal our player of the game. I will give you one guess who it is.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Gotta be Charlie Morton, right? The narrative of this season turning things around after, having his ERA sky high over 9 since the second game of the year. Now down to a cool 605. It's like what you set your alarm for pretty much, right? Before you hit the snooze button. It's coming down. 7 strikeouts on the curveball for Charlie Morton tonight. That is the season high for the right-hander on that pitch. And unfortunate that his outing was cut short. You either wanted to see the 5-inning complete game shutout or him to go even further into this game and carve up the Angels. But that 1 hour, 9-minute rain delay midway through the game really put a damper on things. It didn't put a damper on things, though, is the way that the O's were able to strike in the 5th inning before the rain got super, super heavy. Off the bat of Ramon Laureano. It seems the O's have finally conquered that left field wall that keeps moving out and back in and blah, blah, blah. It's the 8th home run of the season for Laureano. Of course, he was dealing with an ankle injury not too long ago that he suffered in Milwaukee. He is back, came back during the West Coast road trip, and has picked up where he left off. 8th dinger of the season for Ramon. He is admirably filling in. And granted, being a 30-year-old outfielder, you still got prime years left. A lot was made of the way that Laureano burst onto the scene in Oakland for the Athletics, who are now not in Oakland, they're in Sacramento. But his defensive prowess, lit up Sports Center, was good for 20 home runs a year. Then he got caught using performance enhancing drugs, or testing positive rather, I should say, for liability reasons, and kind of had a wrench thrown in his career. And this seems like a really good bounce back. Doing what a lot of Orioles fans presumed Tyler O'Neill would be doing. O'Neill's still scuffling through that rehab assignment and trying to get some games in. Right-hander Jack Kahanowitz left a changeup high pretty much at the letters, and Laureano tucks it over the left field fence. Loved the troll job that the O's did on Twitter, because these Apple TV broadcasts with like the Arial fonts, or if that's plus Jakarta Sans, I don't know what the font is they're using for these graphics, but it's very I hope this email finds you well. It's very corporate America, like college paper fonts. And I know that's Apple's whole aesthetic, sleek, slim, blah blah blah. In the bottom corner, every batter, it's strikeout probability, RBI chances, blah blah. And so it's sitting at like strikeout probability 45% for Laureano. Crushes it over the left field fence, and the O's tweet it with homer probability 100%. Elite caption. Good job, admin. So Laureano at the time was slugging .534 on the season, which would track for a career high, filling in admirably for O'Neill. And now, with the way that Dylan Carlson's turned it on, you think those guys are going to be mainstays. Sure, they're brought in effectively to hit left-handed hitters, and that's something the O's as a team could stand to do a lot better at. Gunnar Henderson, by the way, getting another hit off a left-hander tonight. I believe that's the 4th straight game that he's done that. What's mystifying, though, is that the O's get 2 runs by the bottom of the 5th, and the right-hander Kahanowitz has thrown 44 pitches to that point. Like, he is cruising. And offensively, it seems like under the staff that the O's have, and more specifically, maybe a new voice in John Mabry, that the approach might be on pitch selection. Maybe this is a Cody Ashe philosophy change mid-season, but doesn't seem like the type. Jumping out early in the counts. Jackson Holliday was a prime offender tonight, but You've seen it most recently in the West Coast series out of Adley and Gunnar, and it's a double-edged sword. For every time that Ryan O'Hearn hits a home run on the first pitch, which is 4 times this year, you get a 6-pitch inning against a starter who otherwise could be held on the ropes if you were to take more patient at bats, or at least not swing at a pitch that you don't firmly believe is yours. And that comes down to pitch recognition first and foremost. We saw a lot of things early this year, particularly out of Mountcastle, but also Gunner, where it seemed like the swing was predetermined, like just out of the hand. There was a split second go, and pitch doesn't start as a strike, doesn't end as a strike. Saw a lot of that from the O's earlier this season. And the O's had their chances later on in this game, particularly, I think, to the 6th. Adley walks and Gunner singles to left field to lead off the 6th. Urias rolls over with the bases loaded to hit into a double play. Believe that was how it went down. No, it was O'Hearn. My mistake. But yeah, but then with the bases loaded, Laureano's intentionally walked, Mullins walks, and then Urias grounds out. Jumped ahead a bit there. But perhaps the story tonight should be on the O's pitching, because runners in scoring position wise, left on base wise, the O's kind of tracked as usual. Nothing extraordinary other than the 2 long balls. And Chicks do dig the long ball. Prior to the 5th, no at bats with runners in scoring position, no runners left on base prior to that second rain delay. But it's got to be to the bullpen for picking up Charlie Morton right where they left off. This seemed to me like a game where having a Matt Bowman in the bullpen would have paid dividends, rather than try to bullpen manage from the 6th on, which Tony Mansolino did beautifully, by the way. If you had someone who could bridge the gap, maybe go 2 or 3 innings, this game didn't call for that. Yennier Cano pitched out of a jam. Gregory Soto did his job. Brian Baker striking out 2 guys. Trout and Soler carving them up, and then Felix Bautista back to his pristine self, it seems, with a 1-2-3 ninth inning and 2 strikeouts. So the O's improved to 12 games under 500. I know that isn't great. However, this is an auspicious start to the Angels series, and they'll carry on. They'll try to make it a series win, get back on track, continue this run that they're on. Probable pitcher is left-hander Tyler Anderson. The O's faced him in the Anaheim series earlier this year. I believe it was one of the wins. I think it might have been that finale. And right-hander Tomoyuki Sagano on the mound for the Orioles, 5-4 this year with a 3.23 ERA, trying to avenge that loss against the Athletics, which seemed rather out of character for Tomo. First time pitching there in that ballpark, and it seemed to throw everyone for a loop, didn't it? Like, there were some weird plays, and even that Charlie Morton start there in Sacramento was reprehensible. But defense and things all over the place, and the O's can make amends for it. They can do that tomorrow, and thank goodness it's not on Apple TV, right? That is a win for sure. Yeah, they did. They scored 3 runs against Tyler Anderson in that series finale. One of those was earned. Angels were booting the ball around the place. So they'll carry on, and they look to do a good thing. It's a 4:05 Eastern first pitch, Tomo Sagano against Tyler Anderson. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to talking it over with you all. This has been the Locked On Orioles postcast. Go get some sleep. We're past midnight Eastern time. It has been pouring down at my house in St. Louis. I anticipate being back next week to the DMV. So good night, stay safe, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow night.